Worcester boiler leaking water underneath. In this video I'm going to show you what's leaking and also step by step how to repair the fault. Worcester Bosch boiler leaking. This is if you've got a Worcester Bosch boiler and it's leaking underneath. In this video I'm going to show you what it will be that's leaking. My name's Alan Hart and today I'm going to do a video on leaking Worcester Bosch boiler. I've done quite a few videos in the past of leaking Worcester Bosch boilers, and if I do a flow turbine adapter, somebody might say, well, mine's not leaking from there. So in this video I'm going to show you all the different components that leak, and I'm also going to show you how to repair them as well, and I'm also going to show you some safety, some really important safety advice as well. So yeah, let's get into this video and have a look. First of all, before we remove the case, we can have a look underneath the boiler. And if we have a look on the left hand side here, if it's leaking on the left hand side, it's more likely to be the manifold. So it's the full flow manifold, or the supply manifold complete, it's called, if you wanted to search for that. And what I'll do is I'll show you all the different components that leak first, and then what we'll do is we'll go into how to repair them as well. So just to recap, if it's leaking on the left, it's going to be the flow manifold. And this is if it's leaking on the right hand side now. And this is the flow turbine adapter. So if you have a look underneath the boiler on the right hand side, it's more than likely this part here. And that's from this part, and it normally drips down from the front here, and it'll drip down underneath the boiler. It could also be this part as well. This is the return manifold, and sometimes this will pinhole. I'll show you inside the boiler where this leaks. I'll just show you inside the boiler, and it normally leaks from the bottom here, as we've seen in that video. But as I say, sometimes they can leak on the back. I'll just turn this boiler around and I'll show you the back of this. It's a little bit awkward to see, but that's your flow turbine part there. And then if you go around the back of that, it also leaks from this here, so it can pinhole and squirt out of here. But more likely, it's going to be this front flow turbine adapter. So just to recap on that, and then what we'll do, we'll get into, and I'll show you how to repair them. If it's leaking from the left, it's more likely to be the flow manifold, or the complete, that part there, supply manifold complete it's called. I've always called it flow manifold. So that's if it's leaking on the left. And if it's leaking on the right, most of the time it's just going to be this little part here. And again, I'll show you how to do that. And that goes in, that's your part where it leaks from there. And I'll show you how to do this now as well. I've just got a bit of safety advice for you. If you're going to remove the case on a boiler, you must be gas safe registered or competent to do so, and it's very, very important with a Worcester that you check the burner seal, and you'll need a flue gas analyzer, and there's other safety things that we need to do as well, and that's why you need to make sure that you use a gas safe registered engineer. And what I'm going to do now, I'll just show you what happens with this seal, and then we'll get into stripping. We'll strip this side out, and then we'll strip this side out, and I'll show you how to replace them as well. If you're a gas engineer, I would advise you to when you take one of these cases off on a Worcester, always check this seal here. And I normally check it with my flue gas analyzer. I'll just show you a little video now. The burner seal had failed on that one, and this is why I'm always saying always use a gas safe registered engineer or someone who is competent to work on gas boilers and has all the correct testing equipment as well. What we'll do now, we'll go down to the flow turbine adapter and we'll strip it down, and I'll show you how to change that as well. To remove the case on this, there would be 2 screws in the top, one on one side and one on the other. And then you've got 2 screws underneath that are at an angle, but one on each side again. And then what we need to do, if we have a look underneath here now, we need to turn the cold mains off to the boiler. So that's where your cold mains is. And then what you need to do then, you need to go to a hot tap and turn the hot tap on, maybe downstairs. What you don't want is somebody to open like a mixer valve, because the water could come back into this. So just be careful with that. We've also got a screw here. If we undo that with a screwdriver, just remove that, and then we can lift the front cover down, and then we can take this clip out here. Somebody has actually tried to repair this before. If we have a look there, the clip on this hasn't been put back in correctly. But what we'll do now, we'll take this clip out and I'll show you how to repair or replace this flow turbine adapter. This is a slightly newer model because it's got the rubber jacket on here, and that's because this is a common part that leaks, and when it used to leak, it used to take the motor out as well. So Worcester designed this jacket to put this jacket over to protect this motor underneath. If we have a look there, we can see that's the diverter motor there, and we'll strip that down shortly, and I'll show you what that's like inside as well. But now what we'll do, we'll just take this clip out here. So we'll remove this clip now. So this, if this was leaking here on the flow turbine adapter, then we'd take this clip out here, and this copper pipe here would normally be connected down here with this nut here. So we'd just slacken that nut off, bearing in mind we've isolated the cold mains to the boiler, we've opened a hot tap, and we've made it so that when we lift this out, hopefully no water will come out of here. And what I use one of these, and I'd normally put this down here as good as I can, like this, and I can divert the water, or you could as well do it like this. But what you need to try and do is make sure you don't get any water on the circuit board, because if you do, that's going to cost you a lot of money. So then we just pull this clip out of here, and we can see on this one it's not been done correctly in the past. So we'll have a look here, we'll have a look at what they've done. So I've just removed that clip now, just unclip the flow turbine adapter, which makes it a bit easier. And then now just pull the pipe off, and that'll come off nice and easy because we've slackened the nut off underneath. And then what we need to do, we need to take out this flow turbine adapter here, which is sometimes a bit tricky. Just get us pliers on there and just be a bit gentle with this because you don't want to damage it. And then that'll just pull out, and then you just need to check which way. So you can see there it's got an arrow on it, so we know the arrow on this, we've got the cold mains comes in this way, and then it, as the cold mains goes into there, it turns that round, and that tells that that's working. And then behind there we've got the flow turbine adapter, a bit that leaks, which is in here, and it's just got a little clip, which is a bit hard to show you on this. So that's the flow turbine adapter. If we can see on this one, it's not been put in correctly. There's part of it still inside there. The customer had actually had this repaired. I'm not sure if they tried to do it themselves or what. So that one had been installed incorrectly. When you install it, this bit should be the other way around and this bit should be fully in, and that's why you cannot tighten it up, and that's why it wasn't in correctly with a clip. So if I just unscrew that and just turn that round the other way, you can have a look on there. I don't know if you can see, it's a bit awkward to see, but there's like a little ledge on there. And that little ledge goes onto the front of there and sits in, and it just gives you an extra couple of millimeters, and that's why it wouldn't go in. So when you put this part back in, this flow restrictor, that goes back in there, this bit needs to go that way around, like that, and then tighten that up. And then when you have a look on there, now there's no gap. There's no gap on this bit now. And that's fully in. So this now will go back in, and it'll go in correctly. What I'd advise as well, when you put these in, on the O-rings, just put loads of silicone grease on. So all we'd need to do now is, obviously that would be correct now. I have got a new one here, which I was going to use for this video, but it's a bit pointless now because this one will go back in. What I'll do is I'll show you one that's damaged as well, one that I did the other day. So if we have a look there, that's the... If we have a look there, that's it when it's in bits. And when they're in bits, I don't know if you can see in there, you've got to make sure that you get all the bits out inside, deep in here, because they just crumble. You see that there? They just crumble. If I just press on that and just see, they just go all brittle. So as I say, you've got to make sure you get all the old flow turbine adapter out of it. And this is new, so what we'll do now, we'll put this one back in here. I'll show you how to do it. So this is the part that's inside the boiler, and we need to put a flow turbine back in here. So if we imagine that's as new flow turbine there, what we'd do, we get some silicone grease. We'd obviously make sure that that's in correctly now. So I've shown you, should be the white part there that you'd see. Put some silicone grease on his O-rings, just to make it nice and easy. And then as that's in the boiler there, we're just pushing that in. If we have a look there, and that'll just click in that like that. So this is on the boiler bit now, and then we've got the flow turbine, remembering which way the arrow goes, and that goes inwards. just push that in on there. And then we've got the copper pipe that's going to go back on there. And again, that's got an O-ring. So we just need to put some silicone grease on that O-ring. Also, just one thing to point out in here, it's also got a filter in there. So if you had any problems where you've got really poor water pressure from the hot, then it could be that filter's blocked. So we've put some silicone grease on that, and now all we need to do is push this in. We just get this clip and just put this clip back in there. It's got a little hole there, and it's quite easy to do once you've done a few of them. But you see there now, the clip has gone in nice and easy, and that's because I've lubed it all up, and also we've put the turbine in correctly. So if it's in correctly, it's all pushed in and you've got your turbine on, you've done it all correctly, it'll go in quite easy. And what you need to do is make sure that the pins are coming out on bottom like that. And if you can't get that in, then strip it back out and have a look what you've done wrong. But yeah, what we'll do now, we'll have a look at the other side. If we've got a leak on the left hand side, it's normally from the flow manifold or the supply manifold complete. So what I'll do now is I'll show you how to repair that. So first of all, we'll drain the boiler down. So this time, to drain it down, we need to turn the cold mains off, open the hot tap, get the water out again, and then we need to also isolate the flow and the returns on the boiler. Again, the left and the right hand pipes, and then we've got a proper drain off on the front of these, which is really, really good. So we've connected the hose onto the drain off, and we've opened the drain off, and now we're going to take out the flow manifold. That's the condensate trap. This is an early one, this one, because that's the old style trap. This here is the left hand block, and this is a very, very common problem. This leaks. You could put shock arresters on. I've still seen them leak when they've got shock arresters on, to be honest. They tend to pinhole and spray out, sometimes on the side here, and you'll get water leaking down underneath on left hand side. So if a customer phones you and they say left hand side, water's coming out left hand side, there's a very good chance it's going to be out of that left hand block there. It's the supply manifold complete is the part you want. So first of all, I'm just going to take the condensate trap out on this one, and then I'm going to undo the hot water pipe. So as I've said already, we've turned the cold off, we've drained the cold down, and we're disconnecting the hot pipe off here, and making sure customer doesn't open a hot tap anywhere and mix the tap, because it can come back in here if they did. Just to pull the top clip out here, and then the pipe will just pull out. So that pipe there, that would be the hot pipe. So we've pulled that, and then we've pulled this one totally out of the way, just to make it easy. We've pulled that one out. And then we've got the flow pipe, which is this one here. Again, we'll just pull that clip out on there, and that would have been connected onto the jig, and we'll just undo that nut, and then we'll pull that one out of bottom as well. It may be easier if you also disconnect the gas pipe there and there. I've removed the gas pipe now, and that makes it easier to get into the screw at the back, and also we can get into the screw here as well. Also afterwards, make sure that the gas is tested to make sure you've got no gas leaks. I'm just going to undo the plate heat exchanger off the back. Also undo this screw here. Pull this clip out there, and this clip here. Just pull that off. Just pull that sensor out. We need to save that because we need to reuse that in the new one. And then we just need to pull them clips together on there and turn that round. So all we've done on that, just push that clip there, push that together, and then just turn it round. They normally come off really easy. And then all this now is loose. And we just need to get it off that copper pipe there. And it's like over a lip there as well. Just lift that over that lip, and then this will just pull out. Sometimes they're a bit tricky to get off on there. And that's the flow manifold now taken out, and the top part of this should have the water going through, so that would be the hot water as it comes out of the plate heat exchanger. And when we put his finger in there, you would expect that to be fairly clear really, but if you have a look at that, it's just black and slimy. So I would imagine that this would have been failing shortly, to be honest. The bottom part of that's the central heating water part of it, is that. To install a new one, we get us new one. And the new one comes with all the washers. I would very strongly advise you to put all new washers on if you can. And what you do, you just put all these back in reverse order. And I'm not going to teach you to suck eggs and show you how to do that when we've just took it all out. But when you're putting these back in, lube all these up again, put your silicone grease on. Same with these ones. And don't forget to put your sensor back in. And yeah, and that's it really. It's quite easy to do once you've done a few. But again, you must be gas safe registered, because you're gonna have to put a test on gas afterwards. Also, you're gonna have to check it for safety with flue gas analyzer, and do all your safety checks. Now what we'll do, we'll have a look at the right hand manifold and how to take the right hand manifold out. Now, you don't have to do this that often. Usually it's the left hand block or it's the flow turbine adapter, and that's the two faults usually. But we'll take the right hand block out now as well. You can remove all this in one go by disconnecting all pipes on bottom, taking this connection off, taking this connection off, taking this screw out here and this one out here, and you can lift all this out in one go. But what we'll do now, because it's already like this, we'll just take the rest of the plate heat exchanger out, which is just this screw here. So that's the plate heat exchanger. So we'll just put that down there. And then we've got a screw here. Just undo that screw. And then this here, we'll just loosen that off. So all you're doing with that, just push it together and just move it. And they are normally quite easy to lift off, to be honest. And then once you've done that, all that block will come out in one. And I would advise, if you ever change one of these, change the PRV as well at the same time. So that's the return manifold, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. I'll show you how the diverter works on it. But first of all, I just wanted to show you the plate heat exchanger. And if we have a look at the plate heat exchanger, what you've got is, let me have a look. So that's the cold water. So cold mains goes into there, goes across here, and it comes out of this side, and it comes out of this side hot, and that connects into the this one. That's what goes into that there. And this bottom part of it is the central heating water, so it's the same water that's in the central heating radiators, and that goes through here and out this side. So that side gets hot from the boiler, does the central heating water, and then because you don't want the water to mix, so you wouldn't want your mucky water from your central heating coming out of your hot tap, so it needs to go through a plate heat exchanger. And what that is, it's just little plates, bits of metal, and they're all packed together, loads and loads of them, and one side of them's clean water or mains water, and one side of them is central heating water, and then that's how it transfers the heat through the plates so it doesn't mix. And that's how your plate heat exchanger works. So what we'll do now, we'll have a look at this return manifold. So on this return manifold, first of all, what we'll do, we'll take the pump off it. So we'll just pull this clip out. Just pull it off there. That was a bit tight with that one. You see that it's been leaking. And then this we'll just pull apart and like that. So we've got this pump, and this pump we've got this auto air vent, and if we twist the top on that auto air vent, turn that round, I did loosen that off beforehand because it was a bit tight, but that's the auto air vent, and as I say, that goes in the top of the pump. So if you've ever got one of them that's leaking, you just twist it and take it out. They're not always that easy to do, but... And then what we'll do now, we'll have a look at the diverter on this now. So just take this pipe off here. So if we have a look at the diverter cartridge or diverter motor, the motor just clips out and then just pulls out. Nice and easy. And then the paddle is in there, and that goes up and down. And what we'll do now, we'll undo these screws out of here, and I'll show you what that looks like inside. So if we have a look where your diverter motor would be there, we've undone the two screws, and that should just lift out. And when that lifts out, all that is, when your motor motor pushes that motor down, it pushes that paddle up there, and when the motor goes the other way, it pushes the paddle the other way. So you can see that, see water in there, it's quite mucky. And then just to understand that, it's a bit awkward to see in there, but you've got like a pipe in there and a pipe up at top, and that paddle turns it from one to another. So what happens is the water there comes in from your pump there, and then that paddle decides which way it's going to go. So if the paddle is in one position, it takes it in, and it'll go around the plate heat exchanger, and then that will give you hot water. And if it's in the other position, it will then just go around the central heating system. So that's how the diverter works. So as I say, just like that. So I hope that were useful, that. PRV, to get the PRV off on this, it's just got a little clip there. So you pull that clip off there. So I pull the clip out, and then your PRV had come out. And again, if we look at that back of that PRV, don't know if you can see there, but the system on this has been very, very, very mucky. So one last bit to look at on this return manifold. We can see here what it tends to do is, this is where your cold mains comes in, and it leaks from up here. So that'll have just pinholed here somewhere, and then it just leaks down. So that's all the different areas that leak on the Worcester Bosch. If you've got any questions, please ask them in the comments below, and thank you for watching.
Will I be able to have eating on?